Those ones are called pink jazz. Those are new variety, yeah. I pulled one off the other day, it was 3.2 pounds. It was a monster. You know, you put a seed in the ground and then all of a sudden this tiny seed is producing like 100 pounds of tomatoes. It's kind of mind-blowing. It'll be stronger, it'll be healthier, it'll grow faster, it'll have less pest and disease problems. And also when you harvest on the proper moon day, man, they last for so long. The learning curve is whoosh, like really steep right off the get-go, but then you fall in love with it, and instantly when you start a season, you screw up and then you're like, okay, next year I'm gonna do this. And then this is a kind of our melon wall. Gives the raccoons an extra challenge if they want some melons. The whole thing excites me, except for beans. I hate growing beans. My name is Karla Cox and I own and operate Plot Twist Farms in Penticton, BC. We do super high intensive for almost half of it. Obviously the tomatoes and the zucchini, the patty pan, things like that are ever bearing, so we don't have to continually plant that. But for example, the greens and the radishes beds, we'll plant those 5 to 7 times a season, so we can get way more than a half acre's worth of produce out of a half an acre because we're planting it multiple times over and over again, right? And that's great for, like, a radish crop is anywhere from 21 days to 30 days. So that comes out, the next one goes in. It's fast, it's fast. So we have all of our cherry tomatoes here, heirlooms are here. So then this is the rest of the plot. So we do pretty much everything else. We have all of our greens over there, all tomatoes, and then all of our herbs in the corner. And then this is all the other, mostly our root crops, with the exception of kale, some zucchini, some patty pan, our broccoli, but it's almost all root crops up here. We use kind of the permaculture school of thought that whatever you're going to spend the most time working on and the most effort should be as closest to your workstation as possible. So if you have to go do your lettuce every day or your tomatoes every day, it doesn't make sense to put it as far away from you as you can, because it'll get neglected, because humans are lazy creatures by nature, I think, a little bit. So I can't remember who said it, but if you want to learn the best and most efficient way to do something, you ask the laziest person in the room and they will figure out the best method. And it's true. So the more time we can save in labor and energy, the more we can put into actually growing crops. So if we're not weeding, if we're not spending time walking here and here and here and here and getting tools and whatnot, if it's all really well organized, then it gives us more time to do the important things. I grew up spending time in my granny's backyard, picking peas and catching frogs and chasing salamanders and helping her make pie and buns. And I just loved being in the garden. My Auntie Betty had a garden, and my Auntie Shirley. So, you know, we would get a penny for a potato bug. You know, we'd spend time going out there and we'd sit and shell like 5-gallon buckets of peas in the shade for like 2 hours. And I really liked that, but it never occurred to me. And then I spent 25 years as a paramedic in Alberta. And then I was done with that. And I just came back here because I grew up here. And I really just wanted to farm. I'd started a permaculture business in Calgary on the side as a side hustle, and just fell in love with the plants and the transforming of properties, so people would hire me, and then I'd come in and just do a complete work over of their front yard or backyard. And so instead of grass, I would turn it into water harvesting and composting and a food forest and beehives and all kinds of fun things, and then just create abundance and community, and it was super fun. And then I came out here and I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a swing at this. For the first 2 years, it was just me and my dog, and just slowly figuring it out. I didn't make any money. It was okay. I was just slowly figuring it out. I didn't make it to the first market until I think the first week of August, and my smile was like here to here, because I was so proud to just offer what I was growing to people, and that people wanted to eat it, and they came back and they were nourished by it. It was amazing. And then it's just like, it's an addiction. So yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. I've always kind of had an affinity for being outside and growing things, and I've just done it experimentally in really small increments. And when I had my plot twist in my life where I quit a 25 career working as a paramedic and I got a divorce and sold my house and left where I was living, I came out here and that's all I knew I needed to do. I think it was really healing for me at that time in my life too. It was a fresh start, and as the farm grew, I grew with it, and that was really important. Didn't look like this 7 years ago. It was much more rinky-dink, and I made a lot of mistakes, but I really got addicted, and I really loved the bounty that it provides, and the potential. To be here too, where there's such abundance, like I never take it for granted. Like for a tree to produce, 100 pounds of peaches, and it's just like the most amazing food. It's so natural and so delicious. And you put a seed in the ground, and then all of a sudden this tiny seed is producing like 100 pounds of tomatoes. It's kind of mind-blowing. So I really love it. I'm always in awe of it, for sure. It never escapes me how amazing it is. I think the biggest problem when people start gardens is they're so excited and they want to do so much all at once, and then life gets in the way and they get overwhelmed, and then they're like, oh, now it's a pain in the ass because they have to go water it, or they have to go weed it, or they forgot to plan for a succession planting of carrots or a second crop of lettuce or something, and they get discouraged and then they give up. So again, like I said, you don't have to do it all. You can pick 1 or 2 crops and focus on those things for your resources, and then have your neighbor do the other 2. And then another neighbor does another 2. And then you trade and you learn from each other. And people don't have to do it all themselves. Let's say the 3 of us lived on a block in the city. You happen to have enough space, you love to have chickens, so you provide the eggs. You have a really nice shady section, so you're going to grow all the lettuce and all the shady crops, so cilantro and radish and anything, peas, that's going to grow really well in the shade. And then tomatoes are my babies, of course, so I'm going to grow all the tomatoes and the peppers and all the really, really hot crops. And then we trade. So I'll give you some tomatoes, you give me some eggs, and we'll trade as well, and then we'll give you our waste and feeds the chickens, and then we just go around and around. Like, that's an incredibly sustainable way to do things. It creates community, because as times start to get harder, people need to, draw back a little bit and focus on building community, because that's diversity and that's where strength lies. That's where sustainability exists, is when you have those connections really close to home. Farming at this scale is shockingly effective and abundant. You don't need a lot of land to farm and to grow a lot of produce. Not tilling the soil is so essential to the health of the soil, and therefore to the health of the vegetables and health of the people that eat them. And every time a field is tilled, it actually releases a lot of carbon. So we're actually keeping the carbon in the soil, and the plants are using it as food. And they're able to process it in better ways than just breaking it up and putting it into the atmosphere with mass tilling. So that's really important. And the added benefit is, if you don't till, you don't get weeds. So that's an extreme benefit for sure. We keep all the dormant weed seeds that are in the existing soil way underneath the subsoil, and it has no exposure to light or moisture, so therefore we don't have any weeds. It's great. You can totally grow without chemicals. Nature's been doing it for way before we started growing, and the health of your soil will determine the health of your food. And I think that food can either be the most effective form of medicine or the quickest form of poison, and you choose, depending on what you feed your body. I think it's so important. Every day we try to nourish our body and feed it healthy food, but we try to nourish our mind with, what we're feeding our mind too. So positive things and, meditation and all those kinds of things. It's the same, it's balance and positivity, so it's good. I don't know if people understand that when you use chemicals, you're messing up the very intricate balance at the root layer, the microscopic root layer, that how the plant communicates with the soil, and the bacteria and the fungi talk to each other and actually work like little superhighways to move nutrients into the plant and therefore into the tomato or into the carrot. That is so essential. But when you degrade and denude the soil of all its nutrients by tilling or using chemicals, you're basically making those plants addicted to drugs. They're being addicted to chemicals, and then that's all they want is their fix. So if you're giving it to them unnaturally, they're going to suck it up real quick, and that's what you're eating as well, because that becomes part of the plant, and then that becomes part of you. So it's better to be more natural, for sure. Life on the farm has really evolved since I started. When I started, I knew I wanted to just farm for me and to just know if I could do it or not. I wasn't trying to prove it to anybody else but me, and I wasn't doing it in a good business way. I wasn't super efficient. I wasn't getting my resources from the right places, but I was still in love with it. And now it's become more of a business where we really focus on efficiency. But I'm really glad that I fell in love with it that way without getting too serious, and always trying to have fun and understanding that what gets done, what doesn't, and it'll be okay. Everything is okay in the end, and if it's not okay, then it's not the end. So you just have to be patient and move slowly with grace and be gentle, and it'll come. Just don't force anything.